Please stand by.
Excuse me, I'm talking.
It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming.
Warning. What is your name?
I am Jay Ramone, and this is the Jay Ramone Podcast.
If the FCC knew you were doing drugs on the air, shut us down!
This gets more work done more accurately.
I will sit down with bands, artists, chefs, business owners, and fellow Oklahomans to talk about their projects and dealing with day-to-day life.
This stuff can give you brain damage.
This is the Jay Ramone Podcast.
Power of the internet is truly amazing.
This is the Jay Ramone Podcast, and I am Jay Ramone, and I'm sitting here with Jamel from Afro Pop Soda Company, and I reached out to Jamel on Instagram because this summer I was seeing ads on Instagram or TikTok. I call them ads. They were just reels or videos because they were just people posting about it, and it led me to your pages. And so I'd kind of been following your story, and I was real excited. I am a big fan of all things Oklahoma and Oklahoma companies. Mm-hmm. My radio show every Sunday night, I play 2 hours of nothing but Oklahoma artists. And so when I saw your story, I was like, this is absolutely remarkable. Blew me away. You started a soda company from scratch in Oklahoma.
Yes. I started in my kitchen, mashing whole berries as the way to get started. You know, I think the question is why soda? And that's the question I get all the time. So I'll start there. For me, when I look at like Oklahoma and the spaces that we're missing, right? Like you can actually go into a grocery store, and I was just talking to someone about this. You can go into a grocery store, and now you can buy every single product that you buy can be made in Oklahoma.
Absolutely.
In addition to soda now, but for a long time, soda was not the space that you can buy that was a true made in Oklahoma product. Right, so you have your legacy brands who may bottle here, but I wouldn't consider them a true Oklahoma company.
No, not from scratch, not like what you're doing.
Exactly, and so for me, I wanted to see if I could do it. Truthfully, like it was just like how hard can it be to make soda, and that was kind of where I started. And I worked on mashing whole berries, pairing flavors. And the first time I made soda, it was awful.
I was going to say, how many batches did you make before you were like, okay, I'm on to something here?
Honestly, I can make a number up and say 20 to 100, but I have no idea because there were times that I would make something, it would taste awful, I would pour it out and immediately start over. And you know what I mean? I would do that over and over again, as well as trying like crazy flavors, just trying random things to make it work. And
Malcolm Gladwell, man, 10,000 hours. You got to put in your time.
Yeah, there was times that I would go to like, Crest, because I lived in, so at the time I had lived in the Mustang area. So I would go to the Crest in Yukon, and it'd be like 12 o'clock at night, and I'm like picking up berries and going to the extract aisle, grabbing extracts and more sugar, and going back home and just making it. And it almost became an obsession to see if I could do it, because I also had a roommate at that time. And he was like, oh, that cucumber mint lime is like almost there. And
okay, so what year was this?
This was 2022.
Oh, wow.
Yes. I think in addition to that, that's how I got into soda. But if I can be real with you, I never really tell people the other part of the story, because truthfully, I'm like, I don't know if people would care. But prior to that, I was in 2017, I started going to OU, and I knew that I always wanted to impact the people around me, and I thought that meant I was going to do architecture. I thought, okay, I can build houses and stuff like that for people. I can create these amazing projects and then be able to like somehow give back to the community through that. I got into architecture, and I decided that was a thing that I did not want to do. I love drawing, but it's not just drawing, it's so different. And so from there, I decided that, okay, maybe it's being a doctor. Well, I didn't want to be a doctor. I started working in the medical field, and I was like, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. So I decided, okay, in 2020, I'm going to take some time off and try to figure out what I want to do. I mean, it was in the middle of the pandemic. It was probably not a good time to be even going to school anyway. So during that time, I was like,
a lot of self-reflection happened during the pandemic for all of us.
Yeah, it was a lot of self-reflection. And I think for me, during that time, I felt like it was such a weird time. I remember sitting and being like, I want to go back to school because I know that all of the kids that I graduated with in high school are going out becoming doctors, lawyers, right? They're getting out of college and going right into their career fields. And I still don't know what I want to do. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to be a bartender just to start saving up money. So during that time, I'm a bartender, and a guy comes in, and I'll never forget him. He had tattoos on his arms, and it sounds like the beginning of a joke, but it's not. It's actually something that's so much more like impactful. And I imagine that one day, whenever I probably write a book about my life or something, it'll be added in there. But this guy comes into the bar, and he looks at me. He says, "Well, what do you want to do with your life?" And I was like, "It's a weird question. Like I'm bartending." And he says, "Well, you look like he's like, you sound like such a smart guy, and you sound like you really want to do something more." And I was like, and I told him, I said, "Oh, I'm thinking about going back to college, but I also have this idea of a soda company." And he told me, he said, "Life is like scratching out a block of wood with your nail." And he said, "It seems like it's impossible to break through that." He said, "But then eventually, once you start to really gain some traction, you start building, is you can actually take a step back and you'll see how many people have joined you on this journey and breaking through this block of wood." And it was kind of an interesting analogy to life, but it made sense for that moment and what I needed. And so I took that time and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna start chipping out that block. And I didn't know how to even put it in a can. And so then I started researching and learning and talking to people, and then I figured out how to put it in a can. And then I figured out how to make it a little bit better. And then I started figuring out how to negotiate deals to make our products cheaper, as well as, working with like our partnerships with our co-packers to get printed on cans. And so fast forward now, I take a step back and it's like, I've seen what you've been doing, and I want to join you on chipping at that block. And so for me, having me on this podcast is a reflection of that story. And so I appreciate that. And that's why Afro Pop exists.
I actively search for Oklahomans doing cool things and really trying to make an impact in the community.
Yes.
And so I want to showcase that.
Yes.
On top of that, your product is incredible.
Yes.
So you posted on Instagram last week that you were finally on the shelves in stores, and you had posted Pruitt's and Uptown Grocery.
Yes.
And I was like, man, I live north side. Those are both close to me.
Right.
So I went to each of them, and they were gone. And I was like, damn, like I missed out, like, because you had just posted it, that,
right.
It was there.
Absolutely.
So I was like, well, at least he's, getting some success. It made me happy. So when you posted again that the north side or Edmond store had some, I left the office. I bolted right then, drove up there, and I grabbed 2 6-packs of each. At first I went down the soda aisle, and I was looking, and it was all the big brands. I'm like, no. And I'm looking for the artwork,
right?
And I'm not finding it. I'm kind of disappointed, and I'm got my head down, and I'm walking down the aisle, and I see the cooler, and I see it, and I'm like, there we go. And I just took my basket right over there and grabbed 2 6-packs of each, and I came back here, and I was like Santa Claus. I passed them out to my coworkers, and I took some home to my boys, and everybody tried them, and I told them the story, showed them the page, like, hey, go check this out. This is where it's available. And everybody got the same consensus that I did. My favorite is Summer Night. So I want to start with that, the blueberry lemonade.
Yes.
The flavor is absolutely incredible. And I feel like you hit the nail on the head for like the perfect summertime picnic beverage.
Yes.
Ultimately refreshing. I can't wait to have a bunch of these in the Oklahoma summer when it's 100 plus degrees
Oh,
outside.
absolutely.
So where did the inspiration for this one come from?
For me, with the blueberry lemonade, so I knew that personally I actually really like lemon lime sodas. But that one came from knowing that I wanted to start a soda company. There's a lot of lemon lime sodas out there, but there's not any blueberry lemonade. So blueberry lemonade is almost for me, I want it to be like a juxtaposition to lemon lime sodas. And so, you can go in and that you like lemon and lime sodas, but going and getting a summer nights, it's like, oh, but this is just slightly different. It's slightly different enough to where you can try something that's new and creative while still being able to kind of fit a little bit into that niche. So it's actually kind of more of a bridging a gap. So that was kind of the entry point into our products for a lot of people, because it's familiar. It's very familiar, if you like, all the legacy brand lemon lime
And the
sodas.
blueberry flavor is legit blueberry. It's
Yes.
not the fake kind that you get in all
Right.
the products these days. That's why I got so excited. I was like, oh man, like this is real.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a floral, kind of almost like a little bit of a floral taste.
Yeah.
Because blueberries usually, like artificial blueberry, is very strong and it's very sweet and interesting. I'm not a fan of it, but I love the natural blueberry taste.
The fake doesn't have the tartness that the real one has.
Right. And that, I don't know. It's hard to emulate nature.
Okay, so tell me about Blacker the Berry.
So that's our blackberry vanilla soda. That was actually the first soda that I made that I knew I was going to create a soda company. So like I said, at the time I had a roommate, and his now fiance was trying the soda, and she was like, "Oh my gosh!" She was like, "This is amazing." And so I remember she would come up to me and be like, "When are you making that again?" And I'd be like, I don't know. I'm just still just making random sodas in my kitchen." And so she's like, "Can you make that again?" I was like, "Yes." I made it again, and then I brought it to work, and people were like, "This is amazing." And so really, Blacker the Berry was the first soda, the first true Afro pop soda. So really, I mean, at first I wanted to call it the OG, but we ended up landing on Blacker the Berry instead.
I love it. And I want to talk about the artwork after we get through the flavors, because that's the other thing that really just blew my mind. So Grandma's House.
That is a little bit of a passion project. So I'm actually a Harry Potter fan. And so I drew a little bit of inspiration from that with the butterbeer. I wanted to create a butterscotch cream soda, right? So that's kind of the base of what a butterbeer is. And so that was kind of where that inspiration came from. But also, in addition to that, I'm a big Bill Withers fan. So like I mentioned
Oh, bro,
earlier.
you're talking my language now, man.
So Grandma's Hand was the song that inspired Grandma's House.
That is awesome.
Yes.
From first sip, I totally flashback to Grandma's house,
Right.
and the old school jar of candy filled with the butterscotch candies. Like
Yep.
it was instantaneous.
With the yellow wrapper.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the artwork. The artwork is absolutely incredible here, and I'm assuming these are. Is it the same artist for
All
each one, or
different ones.
all different ones?
Yeah, all different artists.
Okay, so let's start with Summer Nights.
So Summer Nights was designed by Leandre Lattimore. He is a UCO graduate. He actually works with the city on a public art initiative. So he's very involved in the community. And so for him, I was kind of telling him about the idea of Afro pop. And I said, well, I'm working on a blueberry lemonade or, a blackberry vanilla or butterscotch. Like, which one would you? And he's like, the only way I can do it is if I get the blueberry lemonade. And so I was like, okay. And so for him, he imagined being this kid and being a superhero flying through space with blueberries and lemons all around him. And so that was true, like his inspiration behind that one. And it was cool.
Okay, so Blacker the Berry, definitely with the old school vibe.
Yeah, Dr. RJ Woods. He is a UCO professor. He leans very heavily into literature. He does a lot of side projects and stuff like that. So it's really interesting because I remember me and Dr. RJ Woods, his initial design included a lot of like more words and like and then some like imagery. And I said, I have this vision for this can. And we went back and forth on it for a while. And then I was like, I have this vision of a black woman on the can, and she has these knots and she has these glasses, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, okay, well, let me see what I can do. And so he ended up doing a lot of really cool details with it that still felt very authentic to him. Like, he pulled a lot of inspiration from hip hop. As well as if you look closely at the like hair design and the knots, they're actually blackberries. So yeah, I'm
gonna have to look again. Yeah. That's rad.
So yeah, they're actually blackberries, and so it's super cool. And I remember talking to RJ about it, and he said, when you look at the can for the first time, you're like, oh, okay, cool, it's a black woman. Then you look at it again, you're like, oh, okay, the background kind of looks like a bandana. Then you look at it again, and there's like so many layers to it. So it was so cool how he just took this general idea of what I wanted and just added like so many layers to it.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And grandma's house.
Nylena Brewer. So she is also a UCO graduate. She's actually studying to get her master's in sculpting right now in Georgia. And that one is inspired by her grandma. And so her grandma helped her to really lean into her artistry. And so her working on grandma's house just actually it was a coincidence, but also like such a great opportunity for her to showcase her love for her grandma, her late grandma, as well as being almost like you're paying an homage to someone who contributed to you doing artistry. So there's so many layers to that. And I can't tell her story as great as as her, but it is it is such a beautiful story and it's moving.
I love that everything about this brand and these sodas was very intentional, even when it wasn't intentional. Like the right artist got fit with the right flavors because of the something that connected them to that. And that's absolutely amazing.
It is.
Our stories are very similar, as we were talking. Mm-hmm. I from the time I was 16 years old, I got a job at Homeland grocery store, and because I wanted a car. So, and then I ended up paying my way through college, working at Homeland grocery store. And so I knew a lot about the grocery side of things. And that's why I was super impressed, the fact that you started this new company and then we're already making waves and getting on shelves in stores, because I know what kind of uphill climb that was. And you said, well, my first job at 16 was at a grocery store. Yeah. And so I feel like we kind of have this connection that's kind of brought us together. So tell me how starting out in grocery has given you some a leg up on the industry, and how it kind of works to help you get into some of these places.
I think so. That's a great question. Scale and volume, as well as, it's a new relationship. So, there's an incentive to sell products, right? But there's also from the grocery side, but it also from our side, right? So the more that we kind of lean on each other, it's a very much a mutual relationship. So if I get out there and I sample those products and people are liking it, they're pulling it off the shelves in droves, 6 cans at a time of each flavor, then they're going to be more incentivized to buy more products. But additionally to that, it also allows for you to be able, like you said, be able to just go down the street and pick up a can of Afro Pop.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's interesting and it's different, right? Like I said, I worked in grocery for a little bit, but I never worked on the side of actually ordering the products and putting them and choosing what goes on the shelf. And it's different. It's a different ball game.
Oh yeah. Shelf space. Yes. Fighting for shelf space is very, very, cutthroat.
Yes.
There's only so much space on a shelf in a physical store.
Yeah.
That's why the online retailer is a totally different animal.
Right.
And I can only imagine that the volume of product you would have to create to even step into that world.
Right. And so that's actually something that we're launching as well as our e-commerce space. So April 4th is this Friday is our launch for that. And
And is that where people can go straight to your website and order, direct to consumer?
Yes. And it's going to break down so many geographical barriers, as well as it's going to be right at your doorstep. It's going to have the new fully printed cans, as well as we're reformulating that to be a low sugar, low calorie option as well. That was a high demand from the community.
Well, my mom is an insulin dependent diabetic, and so that's something that I was going to ask is when you were coming out with the low sugar, low calorie version.
Absolutely, next batch.
Very nice. We're excited. Well, Jamel, I'm excited for your future. I'm excited for having you in the Oklahoma City community because I feel like your heart's in it for the right reasons. Absolutely. And hopefully everybody loves your soda as much as I do. I think it's absolutely incredible.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I did this from my kitchen, and it's surreal to be able to walk into a space and see someone just holding your can or knowing your product before they know you. That is an amazing feeling.
So you're launching your e-commerce site on April 4th.
Yes.
Go ahead and plug your website now.
That is afropopco.com. And then it's going to be a pre-order with an 8 to 12 week lead time so that we can handle the demand of those orders and make sure we're getting them shipped out properly and stuff like that. So yeah, and you can try all three of our flavors at that time.
Are you going to launch some merch as well?
Eventually.
Okay.
One step at a time, though.
Yeah, you'll have to let me know when you launch the merch site so I
Yes.
can share it and I can snag some shirts and stuff.
Absolutely.
Afro Pop Soda Company. Find them on Instagram, all the socials. Go to their website. Pre-orders start this Friday, April 4th.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.